Hello, Bears Nation. Stay tuned because the off-field game is heating up. What would you do if you had to choose between a cheap veteran or spending big on a star for Caleb Williams? Well, Ryan Poles seems to be playing chess with a franchise's future, and the next move could define the team's destiny. Before we start, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any updates on the Bears. Now, let's talk about the moves this offseason, because something big is happening in Chicago. Tim Patrick is emerging as an unexpected bet to replace Keenan Allen. The same receiver that Ben Johnson helped shape in Detroit now might have a chance to shine in Chicago. But wait, can a $1.1 million player really fill a 1,200-yard hole? The issue here isn't just raw talent, but context. Patrick survived 2 devastating injuries and made it back. That shows resilience. But is it enough to lead an offense? The price is tempting, but the limited production and injury history raise doubts. If Poles sees Patrick as a complement to the offense, great. But if he thinks he can be the main solution, he better think twice. What about TJ Edwards? A true lone warrior in a defense falling apart. His 129 tackles are impressive, but can he carry a broken defensive system on his own? Chicago has to decide if they lock in this leader with a contract now or risk seeing him demand a big payday in 2025. And there's more. Aaron Jones, the man who terrorized the Bears for years, might now wear blue and orange. Genius or madness? With 1,100 yards last season and a history of dominance against Chicago, he could transform the offensive dynamic, but there are risks. He's already 30, and the offensive line still needs adjustments. The Bears' offseason is full of dilemmas. Pay for stars or rely on veterans. Take a chance on young talent or ensure stability. And you, fan, what would you do in Ryan Poles' place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Oh, and if you want to stay in the know about everything Bears, you know what to do. Subscribe to Bears News Fan Report and don't miss any updates. The potential arrival of Tim Patrick raises a dilemma. The guy's got grit, overcame serious injuries, and knows Ben Johnson's system, which could speed up his adaptation. But let's be real, he's not Keenan Allen. With modest stats and limited playing time in Detroit, thinking of him as a direct replacement is at least bold. If the idea is to use him as WR3, adding depth to the roster, fine. But if he's the main weapon alongside DJ Moore, we've got a problem. The Bears need to decide whether to invest in a star via draft or free agency, or bet on chemistry and experience with a cheap veteran. Which path would you choose? Let's talk about TJ Edwards. The guy was a tackling machine, a real anchor in a system that failed in almost every aspect. But one warrior alone doesn't win battles. The numbers don't lie: 129 tackles, 4 sacks, and an unrelenting effort to keep that defense alive. But at the end of the day, Chicago kept giving up points and struggling with a broken system. Here's the big question: renew with Edwards now and lock in a leader at market price, or wait and risk him demanding a massive contract in 2025. Remember, linebackers of this caliber don't come around every day, but paying big for a player without a functional defense system can also be a mistake. Now, the most controversial name on this list, Aaron Jones. The former Packer, one of the Bears' greatest nightmares, might cross over and become one of us. Is this a master stroke or a disaster waiting to happen? Looking at the numbers, Jones still has gas in the tank: 1,100 yards in 2024 and an average of 5.1 yards per carry against Chicago over his career. He's been one of the NFL's most consistent running backs, but he's already 30. And we know how that age hits RBs. Plus, the Bears' offensive line is still far from a fortress. Without solid blocking, even an experienced veteran like Jones can't work miracles. So, Bears Nation, do you trust Aaron Jones to be the missing piece for the offense, or do you think this move would be a mistake? The offseason is a Russian roulette. Some moves could turn Chicago into a legitimate NFC contender, while others could sink the franchise into another year of frustrating rebuilding. Ryan Poles is playing chess, and every piece moved now will have a direct impact on Caleb Williams' success. Now it's over to you, fans. Can Tim Patrick replace Keenan Allen? Does TJ Edwards deserve a new contract now or later? Is Aaron Jones the missing piece, or is it a mistake? Drop your strategies, leave your opinions, and of course, subscribe to Bears News Fan Report to not miss any updates. The winds of change are blowing in Chicago, and we'll be following every step of this journey. Bear down. If Ryan Poles truly believes Tim Patrick can fill the gap left by Keenan Allen, he's playing a dangerous game. Patrick is a warrior, a veteran who survived the hell of injuries and came back to fight. But let's be honest, he's never been a WR1 and will never have the impact that Allen has on the game. Keenan Allen was one of the most reliable receivers in the NFL, someone who guaranteed production and leadership. Patrick, on the other hand, at 31 years old with an average of 394 yards per season, is far from an elite replacement. His biggest value is knowing Ben Johnson's system and bringing experience to a young group. But if the Bears are thinking of building an unstoppable offense for Caleb Williams, this bet is risky. The ideal plan: bring Patrick as WR3 or WR4, and at the same time, invest heavily in a star in the draft or free agency. Ryan Poles can't afford to bet everything on a veteran who, at best, will be a compliment. The Bears need an elite target, and Patrick alone isn't the answer. TJ Edwards' numbers are incredible. The guy was one of the most productive linebackers in the NFL, but there's one problem no one can ignore. Chicago is still struggling on defense. Edwards did his part and more, but when one player has to carry an entire unit, that's a sign of a broken system. And here comes the big question. Pay now and lock in a leader at an affordable price, or wait and risk him demanding a big contract in 2025. Ryan Poles needs to act wisely. If Edwards keeps piling up impressive numbers, his market value will explode. But is investing in a veteran linebacker the priority when Chicago has so many holes on defense? Aaron Jones wearing blue and orange. Just thinking about it, the fan base is divided. On one hand, an experienced veteran who knows the Packers inside and out and can strengthen the backfield. On the other hand, a 30-year-old running back with an injury history and an unstable running game. Can Ben Johnson revive Jones' career the same way he did with Montgomery and Gibbs in Detroit? Possibly, yes. Guaranteed? Never. The big problem isn't Jones' talent, but the reality of the running back position. The decline can be brutal, and the Bears can't afford to bet big without a contingency plan. If Jones comes at a low price and is part of a committee alongside DeAndre Swift, it makes sense. But if Ryan Poles is betting on him as the RB1, Chicago might be repeating past mistakes. The Bears' offseason is just beginning, but the board is already set. Every choice could define Caleb Williams and the franchise's future. Ryan Poles is playing a high-stakes game, and now it's up to the fans to ask, can Tim Patrick be a useful WR3, or is he just a cheap quick fix? Does TJ Edwards deserve a renewal now, or should the Bears wait? Can Aaron Jones be the missing piece, or is it a well-anticipated mistake? Leave your comment and tell us what you think. Are the Bears on the right track, or are we about to see another disaster? And don't forget, if you want more hot news on the Bears, subscribe to Bears News Fan Report. Here, you'll stay on top of everything happening in Chicago. I'm worried about the decisions Ryan Poles is making. It seems like the team is trying to save where they shouldn't and betting on veterans who might not be the solution to the roster's problems. Seriously, is Tim Patrick the answer to replace Keenan Allen? The guy is a warrior, survived tough injuries, but let's be real, he's never been a WR1 and doesn't have nearly the same impact that Allen has on the game. If Poles thinks Patrick can be a solid WR3 or WR4, fine. But if he's considering this as the big solution to give Caleb Williams targets, then the problem is much bigger than we imagined. The Bears need a star receiver, a true playmaker. I like TJ Edwards. The guy is a monster on defense, carried the load all year, but let's face the reality, the Bears' defensive system is broken. What's the point of him making 129 tackles if the defense keeps leaking points? If renewing now means locking in a leader at an affordable price, let's sign him without thinking twice. But if Chicago keeps neglecting the defensive line and only depends on Edwards to save everything, then we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Seeing Aaron Jones in blue and orange will be quite the irony. The guy always crushed the Bears, so bringing him to Chicago would have a special taste. But here's the real deal. He's already 30 years old, and the RB position has cruel expiration date. If the plan is to form a strong duo with DeAndre Swift, I'm on board. But if Ryan Poles is betting on Jones as the main RB and paying big for it, then it's a mistake. The NFL has shown that investing heavily in veteran running backs can be a huge misstep. In the end, I want to see Chicago back on top of the NFC North, not a team that keeps making wrong decisions and throwing money down the drain. If Ryan Poles gets it right, the Bears could contend for the playoffs in 2024. But if he misses, it'll be another frustrating year for the fan base. And you, Bears fan, what do you think of these moves? Write in the comments. Bear down.